For those who haven't heard of Indigo children, the concept originated in the 1970s when groups of people of all ages were brought together with a single goal: to awaken humanity. An Indigo child is someone who was gifted into this world, and their destiny is to make great changes and spiritually awaken humanity. These children are usually free thinkers with an exceptional insight into human nature and the ability to see things clearly. Indigo children are old souls that have a tough time fitting in and often end up involuntarily medicated, rejected by society, and completely misunderstood. It is also believed that Indigo children have the ability to see visions or communicate with spirit guides. If you believe that you were brought into this world with a purpose, stick around to find out whether you share traits with an Indigo child or not. The primary role of an Indigo child. From a very young age, an Indigo child focuses on exposing the truth and deception around them. They are somehow able to see through people's half-truths, and this makes them seem headstrong, inquisitive, and sometimes even unpleasant children. Both children and adult Indigos can't help but see through falsehood and expose it. They have a strong desire to reveal the truth, and it's often said that it's written into their DNA. However, there are those who criticize the concept of the Indigo child, saying that parents can misuse it in order to make their children look special. Others say that even the signs that show whether a child is an Indigo or not are so vague that they can apply to practically any child. On the other hand, it is true that any label can be misused, and that includes the label of an Indigo child. But signs of an Indigo child are quite specific and can't really be applied to everyone. Indigo children are obsessed with revealing the truth, which is not something you could say for everyone out there. Misdiagnosed Indigo children. Since the 1970s, it has become clear that Indigo children are often misdiagnosed with behavioral disorders such as ADD and ADHD, mostly due to their free-thinking nature. Indigo children are often misunderstood and sometimes even feared, which is why they become victims of medical treatments at a very young age. They are given medications such as Adderall and Ritalin that usually numb the Indigo child and inhibit them from developing their intuitive capacities. So, do you believe you are an Indigo child? Do you think your children or grandchildren are Indigos? Your will is strong. You're a passionate individual who cares about their dreams and life goals, and you will do whatever it takes to accomplish them. And even if others criticize you or refuse to support you in your beliefs, you will keep going no matter what. You are an old soul. Do you have a strong feeling that this is not your first life, as if you hold wisdom that your peers do not? You spent your childhood behaving like an old and wise person, and your adulthood was focused on a deeply spiritual and philosophical view of life. You're a free thinker. Questioning represents who you are. There is no idea or belief that you're not willing to reject. You don't want to blindly follow the crowd when you can think for yourself and form opinions based on your beliefs. You're a nonconformist. You spent your childhood being told that you're disobedient, naughty, and even obnoxious. Now that you're an adult, you still don't want to be boxed with or controlled by others. You focus your life on forging your own path and finding the truth on your own. You're a passionate truth seeker. Your life is a journey with a clear purpose: to discover the truth. Distinguishing truth and reality from lies and deception is your primary importance, and the ability to tell if someone is lying to you helps weed out those who are not worthy of your time. And though the truth hurts, you cherish it more than anything else, and you would rather suffer from it than spend your life being misled with lies. You're perceptive and intelligent. Most people don't perceive the true condition of humanity the way Indigo children do. Your unique abilities help you discover the truth and help guide humanity into better times. You're highly intuitive. Due to your keen perception, you have the ability to use your intuition and deduce the best course of action. You're also able to see through the things that people want to keep secret or hidden from the rest of the world. You want to change the world. There is a driving force in you, a force so strong that it can create a positive change on our planet. From the moment you realize you're an Indigo child, you know that your destiny will change or destroy paradigms. You're empathetic and compassionate. There is so much violence, destruction, and cruelty in this world that you feel sorrow and anger every time you learn about it. You carry so much love for our planet and people that it literally hurts you when you can't do anything to help. Your empathy and compassion also mean that you struggle with depression and anxiety. You're a natural-born leader. Whatever you did in life, you always ended up being a leader. Working in teams or for others comes hard to you because you function better on your own. You also have a hard time obeying authority, especially if that authority is outdated, illogical, or corrupt, which is quite common nowadays. As a leader, you can be better and wiser than the rest. You can offer healthier ways of living, which makes you an exceptional spiritual leader as well. You're an idealist. Your life is full of high expectations. Not only do you expect a lot from yourself, you expect a lot from others as well. Idealism is a positive trait to a certain degree, but the more you idealize things, the more you become overly critical or even too demanding. Nevertheless, if it weren't for your idealism, you wouldn't strive for the highest and try your best to save our planet and humanity. You have a strong connection with nature. Indigo children have a specific connection with the natural world. If you're an Indigo child, then you know that being near nature is when you feel most at home. You have an autonomous personality. You're a free spirit, and free spirits don't like to be held down by anything, or anyone for that matter. You prefer to spend time on your own, and you don't like being in large groups of people. You enjoy your solitude and the clarity it brings to you. You often struggle with boredom. Your inquisitive mind sometimes struggles with the routine and everyday conventional structures, and that's why you get bored easily. This is why most Indigo children are misdiagnosed with ADD or ADHD. You tend to experience existential angst. Indigo children are prone to anxiety and depression, but existential anxiety and depression go far beyond that. They are more concerned about life itself than their own lives, which is why Indigo children often ask questions such as, why was I born? Why is there injustice? What is the meaning of life? Or why do we suffer? A child shouldn't be bothered with such philosophical questions, but that is the reason why Indigo children lose interest in all the meaningless pursuits the rest of humanity burdens itself with, and instead focus on what matters most, to be a light bearer, path forger, and paradigm shifter.
Indigo children are very special, and like crystal children and rainbow children, collectively, their purpose is to change the course of the world. If you are an Indigo child, know that you are extremely gifted, and you are entrusted with the mission to challenge what has been, and to make the world better for the future generation. This video will help you to find your soul's mission and your place in the evolution of humanity. Indigo children may not immediately identify themselves as such. The concept of Indigo children is relatively new since the idea emerged in the 1970s. You may not even know that you are of Indigo origin, or that you are the first in your line of being an Indigo child. However, we know that throughout our history, many people lived as Indigo children, fulfilling their mission to push humanity towards spiritual awakening. Despite the term children, an Indigo child could be anyone of any age who unconsciously or subconsciously knows that they exist for a higher purpose. Indigo children are born with a mission of helping humanity achieve spiritual awakening. Indigo children have a very different perception of the world, and they are not bound by the expectations of society and the chaos it brings. They are free thinkers who possess great insights into people. They are sensitive and intuitive people, which gives them the ability to know the truth. Indigos are old souls, and they are very gifted. This makes it hard for them to fit in within societal standards and norms. They sometimes are misunderstood. Indigo children are also gifted with spiritual abilities and supernatural gifts. They can easily communicate with spirit guides or enter the spirit realm to commune with the higher beings. The most distinct characteristic of an Indigo child is their desire to find the truth about everything. This trait sets them apart from other people. They will fearlessly question every system, belief, or rule, and challenge the truth behind all these. For a long time, Indigo children have been misunderstood and often misdiagnosed. A lot of these gifted people were seen as being problematic and having behavioral issues when they were younger. However, the truth is that Indigo children are inherently strong-willed and untamable. They are passionate about reaching their goals and dreams and will not easily give up. They do not let themselves be controlled by the premise set by others, and they do things the way they see fit. Indigo children are as intelligent as they are compassionate. They have a profound desire to start the change that the world badly needs. This drives them to seek the truth, to be kinder, and be more empathetic. Lastly, Indigo children care deeply about their spiritual being and their spirituality. When they are awakened, they will influence others to take that step to their spiritual awakening and consciousness. Do you think you are an Indigo child? Let's delve into that a little more and talk about the 4 types of Indigo children. The humanist Indigo children are first. These Indigo children are often doctors, counselors, therapists, or teachers, where they interact directly with people. Through their respective fields, they can touch the lives of many people. This type of Indigo child is the most sociable and friendly. They can easily get along with people and have the ability to make them comfortable when they are interacting with them. The conceptual indigo children are the second type. These children are planners, or they like to plan their life course. You can find them working as engineers, architects, designers, astronauts, and pilots. They have a strong need to control things. When they were younger, they may have been too controlling with their parents. They work methodically, and so they value their time and will often choose to work alone. Conceptualist indigo children strive for discipline and routine to achieve the results they want. They are also very analytical. The third type of indigo children are called artists. These individuals are naturally sensitive people. They are gifted with creativity and artistry, so they will most often become performers or teachers or advocates of the arts. They are more drawn to creative production and processes than being in the spotlight. They may play multiple instruments or work with different mediums. They often develop skills in different forms of the arts, but they need to work hard in developing these skills and talents. They use their art to express themselves and touch the heart of other people. This type of indigo child may come off as dramatic in their younger years or up until today. But it is undeniable that they are hardworking and deeply passionate people. Lastly are the catalysts, or interdimensional indigo children. These indigo children are dedicated to bringing a new perspective when it comes to philosophies, religions, and traditions. They are uncontrolled by the norms of humanity. They want people to realize their views and perspectives about life. They are strong-willed and passionate about their philosophies. When they are younger, they could have been seen as disruptive and contradictory. Also, catalyst indigo children like to spend time with nature. Being an indigo child is not easy. You are often misunderstood. You do not really feel that you fit in the world you live in. Your divine gifts and abilities are close to the surface, and the desire to become the change the world needs is strong. Your energy screams change and spiritual awareness. Do not be afraid to show who you are and to tell the world what you are capable of doing. Be brave when it comes to facing judgments and misunderstandings from people who are not as aware as you are. You are meant to help the entire human race, and you can change their perceptions by being you. You must be the first to embrace who you really are and the powerful origin of your soul. Your mission is to change the world and to steer the human race to take the right path. Discover more about your soul origin and what you are meant to do.
Now, most people don't realize that what a UFO actually is. First of all, it's a dumb word because they're not unidentified and they don't fly. They don't fly like a jet. So 2 of the 3 words that make up that acronym are incorrect. But they're basically an alternative energy and propulsion device. And once that began to be really documented by contractors in the US government in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, they really were able to accelerate the research so that by 1954, they had figured out what's called gravity control, which the pop culture would call anti-gravity. It's not anti-gravity actually, but it's gravity control, as well as what's called zero-point energy, which is pulling energy out of the space around us to run an engine or to run a motor or what have you. So these technologies were being studied very heavily by a team headed up by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who was head of the Manhattan Project. And by 1954, it was pretty well known, at least to science. The problem became to be, and this is what President Eisenhower warned us about, is that the secrecy became so enmeshed in compartmented intelligence operations that even he as president lost control over it. One of our military witnesses, he was a young man working at the White House, which I'm looking at here from my place here in Washington. He told us, Mr. Lovkin, who was an attorney, said Eisenhower was very frustrated that he was being denied information on the projects controlling this issue. So the secrecy went off the rails, let's call it, into these unacknowledged special access projects. And I got involved because, and this is something that when I started out, I was just doing investigation and going out and seeing, hey, can we make contact with these objects? Can we document them? And it turned out that once we did, I got pulled in and was asked to brief President Clinton's new CIA director. And from there, I began to realize that there were people who are inside government who know about these projects, and there are people inside government who do not know. And it has nothing to do with your rank. It doesn't matter if you're the president, and it doesn't matter if you're the CIA director. It really matters whether or not the bureaucracy feels like you're going to go along with the agenda of keeping this secret. And the secrecy is the hardest thing for people to understand. This was the first question the CIA director asked me, R. James Woolsey, who was Clinton's first CIA director. He says, why would this be so secret? Why aren't they telling me and the president about this? And my wife and I were at this meeting. It was about a 3-hour meeting. And I said, because they don't believe that this president, Clinton at the time, this was in December of '93, would go along with the agenda. And if he disclosed this information, it would basically be the end of oil and gas and coal and public utilities, because we would have a technology that would completely transform our world. Now, I think that's a good thing. But if you own trillions of dollars in oil assets and coal and public utilities and stocks, you're probably not so enthralled. So I think that's one of the big issues of the secrecy was not based on normal national security concerns. It's not like there's some threat from outer space like all the stupid movies in Hollywood. It's really more about, if you let this information out and confirm it as legitimate, the very first thing any scientist with an IQ over mud is going to ask is, how are these things moving like that? How are they going 200,000 miles per hour and making a right-hand turn without stopping and without not decelerating? So you're talking about controlling gravity, you're controlling the fabric of space-time and an envelope around these objects, and it's all advanced electromagnetic systems. So once this began to be realized, they said, we really don't want this to come out, so let's just keep it secret. And 70 years later, here we are. So what our group is, the Disclosure Project, I founded after I basically gave up on the White House and Congress. And I thought, the people need to do this. So we had a couple dozen top secret guys in our team who came forward initially. Now, I've probably interviewed maybe 800 or 900 people who've been in these various projects. So we've taken sort of the tip of that iceberg and put it in this movie, Unacknowledged, to give people a sense of what the information is, but also understanding how secrecy at this level is maintained, what the reasons for the secrecy are. Because it doesn't make any sense. Why would this be secret? Most people say, well, it'd be cool to know that there's intelligent life out there. And it is. But if along with that, you're going to have the most disruptive technology in history come out, that pretty much ExxonMobil, goodbye. So BP is gone. Your public utilities are unnecessary. So this begins to be a huge macroeconomic issue, and that's what the secrecy is partially rooted in. We have so much evidence that, what Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who is the astrophysicist in charge of Project Blue Book, said. I recently met his son. He said, we have an embarrassment of riches. So to give you an idea, we have over 4,000 cases where these objects have landed on the Earth and left physical evidence, and thousands of radar cases. Now, one of them is featured in the movie. The senior investigator for the FAA was called in 1986 when there was a Japan Airlines 747 going over the polar route. It was a cargo jet, actually. And it encountered one of these objects that was at least 3 or 4 times the size of a 747, moving in a nonlinear way. It would just move, it'd be in one position of the sky, one radar scope would be in another. He signaled to it, it signaled back. It was obviously under intelligent control. They scrambled jet fighters up. It was on military radar and civilian radar. All this data went to the and John Callahan was asked to do a briefing for the head of the FAA, 3 CIA folks, 3 FBI people, and 3 people from Ronald Reagan's science advisory team. When that meeting was over, the CIA said, this meeting never happened and this event never happened. We have so much data from this case, we don't want the public to have it, so they took it all. What they didn't realize is that the originals were still in Mr. Callahan's office, and when he retired, he left and gave them to us. We have that. So a lot of people will be skeptical and say, where's the evidence? Where's the physical? Where's this? Where's that? We have all that. The problem is nobody has studied the issue seriously. And what we're trying to do is put a snapshot together of the scope of this kind of evidence. Government documents, radar cases, photographs, video from whistleblowers. And the irony is, one of the things I mentioned recently in a news interview was the mainstream media brags about how, well, if we have a very controversial story, we need at least 3 corroborating points of information. The Disclosure Project has over 112 very credentialed, top secret people on video, hundreds of hours, who do not know each other. There's no collusion from different points in time corroborating the same events. Everything from recovering extraterrestrial vehicles and bodies that we've recovered in ones that have been downed using our electromagnetic weapon systems, to radar trackings, to the apparent ET concern about our nuclear weapons, where Colonel Diedrichson, who we have an extensive interview with him, he was responsible for all nuclear facilities in the United States. He said every single one of our nuclear facilities had been penetrated because they were apparently very concerned that we could do something that could destroy life on this planet. And with us going into space, maybe we would at some point be an existential threat to others. So this is a very big issue, and we have credentialed people who were in the right places, who have first-hand knowledge, not second-hand accounts, along with the government documents that corroborate it. So I tell people, what do you want? Someone said, well, I want a physical ET body. That's shown in the film also. Apparently it is. It's certainly not human. And so it seems to be hypocrisy of the mainstream media is that no matter how much evidence you put forward, because of the brainwashing of, oh, this can't be true, and this is all the stuff of the National Enquirer and tabloids, the attitude is, let's not even look at the evidence, my mind is already made up. So what we tried to do with Unacknowledged is in one scene after another, put in the testimony, the evidence, the data points, and then people can go do their own research. Don't take my word for it. I want people to be skeptical, since if you Google this subject, I would say more than 95% of everything on the internet on this subject is utter rubbish, complete rubbish. But the part of it that's real is mind-boggling, beautiful.